Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joy Lasherie. Thank you for being here today. And I have with us Joanna Eyres. I hope I said that right, Joanna.
Close. It's Ayers.
Ayres. Okay. And we'll be talking with her shortly. I do want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Luscious Moss Studio, owned and operated by Chad Christ in Edgewood, Washington. I know you've heard this many times, but it's still important. If you have any um, things that need to be done in the studio, he's a good resource to start and finish with. So he has very creative and welcoming environment that allows you to be yourself, do your music your way with professional guidance. You can find him on Facebook at Chad Quist or Luscious Moss Studio. So with that being said, hello, Joanna.
Hey, Joy. It's a pleasure
We
to be
weren't sure whether we'd see you today, but you're here. Great.
here. I'm excited. What do you got for me?
Is there any way you can turn your sound up on your computer, on your phone, or at all? Or
Hopefully
is
that's
it
all
at?
better.
Yeah, I'm getting just a tad bit of feedback. I'm not sure why, but um, okay.
Let me see if that's a little better.
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Okay.
After being in front of amps and monitors for a long time, 20 years, my ears are not the best. You as a drummer should know that.
I do wear earplugs all the time so that I'm hopefully protecting what I do have. But yes, I'm familiar with the concept.
But Joanna and I have something in common, and I want to start with that. I met Joanna at a jam with, I believe it was Stockton's in Maple Valley with Billy Shue. And we shared a lead together. She played for a man who was my lead for several years, and Chet Hastings. Yeah, and I found her to be an excellent drummer. I don't understand exactly what you're into or what the band that you're with does because I haven't seen them or heard them, but I'd like to. So I have to follow you, Joanna, a little closer to figure out where it's at.
Well,
But
if you
one
can
of
figure it out, let me know.
but one of the things we were just talking about that we have in common is equestrian pursuits. She's has quite a background in that, and so can you explain that and when and how you became a drummer after your life's work?
Oh goodness. Okay, yeah. So as like you just mentioned, I started writing at 8 years old. That really was my big dream and passion. I will say I did play symphonically through high school. So timpani and I mean these kind of
Yeah.
experiences. Yes, of course there's, snare and rudiment, but I mean that was my only real music exposure, education, or anything. And I really just perceived I was sort of a more proficient athlete, etc. And really it was absolutely my big dream to be like a Grand Prix rider and ride in all the big venues and stuff. And so that was incredible to get to own my farm and do that. But yeah, when my body gave out and some other things changed in life and it was time to completely reinvent myself, I looked over at that drum set. I'm like, yeah, I've always wanted to learn to play that though. And it just, I don't know, I mean, I sat down and I've just continued playing like literally ever since I sat just tried to do a little something on it. My ex spouse was a player also, so there was sort of a kit laying around. I'm like, hey, I could probably do that. It's just become an absolute pursuit and obsession. I say obsession in a healthy way, but for sure, I've dove so deep into it. I can't imagine doing anything else, and I'm excited that life goals to be one of those musicians I see out there who are just still killing it at 8+. I'm like, oh, life goals. It's purely from the heart. There's nothing more to add there. That's where it's coming from.
Uh, exactly. And so, how am I understanding this? So, you had some exposure to music, the drums, correct? Am I hearing that correctly during your high school years?
Correct. And well,
But
in middle school and yeah.
but then you moved towards doing what? To going being in equestrian?
Yeah, I would say out of high school, I went into the legal field when I was in college because I was thinking I was going to go law school, and
We
yeah,
have that in common too.
yeah. Oh, interest. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, but I actually at the time somebody in my life had a major car accident they walked away from, and I think it made me realize, like, don't wait, pursue what you want to do. And I'm like, I'm not. I tell my parents, like, I'm not going to law school, I'm buying a farm. My parents are like but they supported me, and I did. I purchased a farm. I was about, I want to say I was like 25. Dumb enough to do that stuff at that time. But I did. I purchased a farm. I had to build it from the ground up, largely with my father and my family. And just, I was definitely not that girl that had the farm handed to her. But I was really, really proud of that work and what I was able to accomplish in the A circuit, that professional realm, because it's just a very, very competitive field. And you're essentially riding well enough to ask, clients to do, hand you horses to do that. But that was, I'm really glad I got to do that in my life. But then, yeah, as that transition, life will somehow evict you from situations that you need to be. And this was sitting right there. The drums were sitting right there, but I was so petrified to start playing on stage. I can't even tell. Like, it was paralyzing. I'll ride in front of thousands. I'll public speak. I don't know, all of this kind of stuff. And yet playing for one soul was like, that is too much. So that's where I started.
We were talking about, I was saying I've been trained to ride English pleasure, which is a little bit different than Western around here. And I was telling her that I thought that it would make, equestrians make good drummers because everything is about the beat and the count. And you have to feel it automatically. It can't, and it doesn't feel good to fall off a horse when you're jumping a barricade.
No, it does not.
So it's about
Heel
position.
down.
It's about position and the feel of the tempo. And for some reason, I think it's kind of built into your whole physical apparatus. So that was a good starting point, I think, for your career. And the fact that you're so afraid, I would have been afraid of all the things you accomplished before that. I mean,
you would think that those things, but no, galloping large jumps, sure. Playing for one single, I'll never forget the first time I played for one, like, single other human's ear that I knew was, like, listening to me. I'm like, it was my farmhand at the time, Dan, who's such a good guy. He was so nice. I'm like, would you please just sit behind me? Don't sit in front of me. Sit behind me. And I'm going to play one song, and it's going to be whatever it is, and it'll be fine, And I did, and it was probably good, because I surprisingly was nervous even for that. I know that I still think that's funny. Now that I look back on it. But I was just, I don't know. It was, for some reason, musically, that was a challenge for me. But when you were talking about that, I think of it as, still from a writing perspective, when I'm drumming, it still feels a lot like that. That it's not only just that meter and rhythm, but the impulsion that you're trying to create through your entire body to direct the entire thing. So, because if I'm teaching a young horse to, where its feet need to go, or rhythmically, where that needs to happen, I mean, it also has to come from the entire package being put together to create that impulsion. So as I've been developing my live playing and drumming, the first thing I do is that when I walk on stage, I sit down on my seat, I take that centering breath right here from this sort of heart chakra place to be able to create that impulsion with all of my bandmates. And so when I start, that's my intent behind it now. And I think that was a turning point for me with live playing. That definitely helped me connect the dots there a little bit. Like, it's already something I have, I'm going to use it.
Hold that thought. I got a message coming up, and I think I'm having some difficulties transmitting. We didn't get cut off, but I don't know if anybody's out there listening. Can you please tell me if we're coming through on Messenger? I mean, not a messenger, but a message, the message portion of this broadcast. And let me know if you're having any difficulty out there. So I don't know if I'm still on or what. We did get 2 comments from Sylvia, and she said, "Hi, JJ."
Yeah.
That's her nickname. I take it, right?
Sylvia!
And talented, beautiful soul right there is what she had to say. So Sylvia, if you're still watching and you didn't kick, I noticed that our live shows 0 on here. So I don't even know if anybody's watching anymore. I'm going to take a minute to look at my phone to see if it's broadcasting on Matured Musicians. So I'm sorry for this interruption, but I think we need to check on whether we have to go back through this and come back in again. I hope not. Let's see.
It still says live on my counter, but
Yeah, we're still talking. Yeah. Okay. It looks like we're broadcasting. So hopefully we are. Anybody out there watching, please let us know. Okay, so yes, the whole idea of this was to find a new path. Is that correct?
yes, absolutely.
And using your past experiences to apply to your new ones.
What I had, I'm going to use what I have. I'm a big fan of life motto being use your resources. Use your resources. That was a resource I already had.
Right.
Instead of focusing on maybe because my peer group really, I want to say I started playing at around what 36, 37, something like that. I'm definitely older than that now. But I actually in March I hit 8 years with my instrument. So you guys can all do math and decide how old I am. But I mean that starting out, that did feel a little daunting. I'm like, my peer group has all been playing since they came out of the womb, and I did horses and other sports and whatnot. And so I'm kind of, feeling a little like the underdog there, but this is largely, by this I mean this Tacoma area, I would say, is really largely a very, very supportive, welcoming community. I had a lot of people. There are so many names I could say right now that seriously, in the beginning, it wasn't so good. And they still were happy to clap and come on, you're doing better than last time. This is, just do this, or, there's been a huge community with that. So make no mistake, if I had not had my music community helping me, allowing, and all the drummers who have allowed me to come to their show and stare and stalk their chops, and I'm stalking your chops tonight, dude. That's huge. That's another thing. You have to learn how to really watch and listen. Writing for sure. You're there watching a lot of rounds, way more than you'll ever do. Learning how to learn that way was critical. That's been helpful here with this too.
Well, I sure hope we're live, because I don't see anybody here, Joanna.
Do you want to try it again?
Well, no, actually I don't. And I'll tell you why, because I don't want to cut off anything that might be working. She might just have stuck her head in the door to watch later, because this will be on not Facebook. Yes, it'll be on Matured Musicians, my Facebook, and it also goes out to YouTube at the same time. So anybody watching now, if they can't get in, can watch it later, and I'll post a notification. Oops. If I find out that somehow we were cut off. Hopefully, if Facebook was cut off, YouTube will take it up and we'll be able to keep it there. If not, we'll have to reschedule. So we're just going to go on as if this, until I get another notification, we're going to go on as if this hasn't happened and we're still live. Keep your fingers crossed. I've never had this before, but lately, with the storms and the down powered lines and everything, it might have something to do with our internet interruption. So in the meantime, we were at the point of, so you started, how long have you been playing now? And did you seek any instructions or lessons during the time between when you left your farm? I'm assuming you left, and started this whole new career.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, so I've been playing in March, I hit 8 years. So just hit 8 years pretty much
Oh, wow.
on
That's a
with like
while.
starting with ta ta ti ti ta and and going from there. The first, I mean, initially I was still in my like there was some overlap. I was just kind of playing to some tracks for fun here and there, and not really much instruction. But I think once I realized that this is probably something I want to pursue a little bit more, I did seek some lessons from the one and only Mr. J. Douglas, who is near and dear to my heart. He still shows up at a show every once in a while. I appreciate it so much. But he is responsible for an extreme amount of producing quality drumming players in this area. I think you're very hard pressed to find a more educated musician. And I was 3 years without fail, every single, like, it was shortly before COVID actually, that my schedule and things changed my life. But I mean, it was every week. And I think learning to read, he's really one of those instructors that's kind of why I liked him. He was a lot like my instructor I grew up with. There's like no baloney. You sit down, you get to work, there's reading. I'm like, I love this. This is perfect for me. So that education and learning how to read, that has helped me be able to educate myself in between, because I'm a kind of a single weekday parent and I still work full time, etc. And I so getting a lesson sometimes is really challenging. I do still take from it. I have other plays I'd love to mention, but other instructors. But that foundation in reading was critical, I think, for being able to teach myself, because then COVID happened. This is a good time to
Yeah.
talk about COVID. Yeah, I think I mean, I had been jamming for maybe not even maybe a year and a half. Like, that's like my live playing experience. Like, go sit down on a weird awkward kit. I'm like, I don't know this. No, I don't know this song. Count it like it just started. It's gonna be what it is. Like, no, but so and which is fine. But that was the extent of my live playing experience at that time. And then COVID happened, and didn't get on stage at least for another whatever, I don't know, year or two, whatever everybody else had. And but I saw that as an opportunity. I used that time definitely to I'm like, I'm going to catch up to my peer group. I'm going to study and work really hard. So I absolutely used that time to do all of that. And then when the live playing returned, I did what I could to get back on stage. I think I was still dealing with a lot of nerves at that time too. But then entered my first like band. I did work a little bit like for a handful of shows with Chet, like you mentioned there, but it was more of a jam thing. Like, we didn't have a set. I mean, I really didn't know what I was playing. And Ray and all those guys. But my first legit band happened for me. I want to say it's been about 2 years, and I finally just, it's one of those, like, you have to fit everything in, and I'm like, well, you can't be in 5 or whatever bands, or even 3, so I just recently had to make that decision to exit that group. But they gave me so much in the last couple of years. It's just a lot of like country and rock, and getting that just raw stage experience, some hours, some mileage, that made a huge difference. I learned how to play in inner gears. I learned how to be more of a pro with tuning and set up on my gear and just etc. It definitely opened a ton of doors. I don't have any of that stage like, I don't get that anymore. I'm a lot
Good.
more
I
comfortable.
was wondering, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yes, that's 1,000 times better. Yeah, I'm far more comfortable in my own skin. Sometimes when you start it, it can be a little depending. Something will maybe throw me off every once in a while, but I've learned how to work through that now. So it's just, it's like your shock absorbers just get better for handling things. That's how I view that. So yeah, that part does not have to consume me so much now. So now I can focus on that improvement of the actual playing on stage. I think I'm finally gaining that like toehold with it. I think I've been mostly focused too in the last maybe, I don't know, 6 months or year or so, also on just playing with just anybody I can, not just jams. Like, asking, do you need somebody to play with you? I mean, I would like to learn your stuff. I enjoyed what you play. Would you let me sit in over, so reaching out like that and getting that network going. that's also been really eye-opening for me because it's exposed me to a lot of different music. So now that's kind of bred the new groups that I'm working with now and putting my energy towards.
Oh, great. So I'm still going to have to check whether we're online because it's unusual not to have anybody be listening live. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to and I want you to answer it fully. Um, there's a big difference between country and rock, I think, because I just can't. Rock
Yes,
just
ma'am.
throws me, makes me crazy. But some of it, like I jam over in Duval with Lynn Sorensen and Doug McGrew, and they're more rock than they are country.
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh! And some of the stuff they do, it sounds to me like I'm like, that's music. I mean, Lynn's pretty good. Most of what he does is really very good. But then they have guests, just like Billy. They have guests. So when they have guests, some of these guys come in, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I mean, it sounds to me like noise. I get the beat. I mean, it's danceable, but it's just not the same. So it's very difficult for me. In the meantime, while I'm checking out what happened to us and whether we're going to have to re-record this, I want you to tell the story of how you got involved in the band that I posted online. Now, what can you give me the name of that?
Yeah, it is a unique pronunciation. It's Steph and the Eclectrics.
Steph
So
and
it's a little like
Eclectric.
eclectic, but it's eclectrics. Like
Eclectric.
electric, eclectic. Yeah.
Okay.
It's catching on. It's catching
I'm
on.
gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna disappear from the screen. I can hear everything you say, um, but you're going to tell the story for me, and I'll come back when you start finishing. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Let's see. So gosh, that actually stemmed from I want to say it's been about 2 years now ago. I was invited to play for it was a month-long like women's event thing at a local facility. They asked me if I would participate in it and put together an act. And I'm like, I'm thinking, who do I know that would do this with me? One of my best friends in the entire world, Stephanie Anderson, who is uber more experienced than me and is, you know, and I asked her, I met her, I want to say maybe a year before that. I asked her if she would do this one event. And we honestly just had so much fun, her singing and playing guitar and me playing my drums. It's like, what music do you want to do? I want to do a bunch of 90s stuff. Like that was our age. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And really, we just play whatever the heck we want. That was literally our thing. We're like, we're just going to play whatever we want. And we started just booking other places that would have us. And then out of that, we had a couple other my bassist from my first band saw it and was like, that looks like fun. Would you guys be interested in having a bassist? We're like, maybe we'll talk about it. And simultaneously, really another friend that I met, that was sort of a mutual friend who plays guitar and sings, was like, I would also love to play that. And that's kind of how that group formed in around August of 2023. And so that's been going on since this last summer. And then as we and we've had, I mean, I feel like that group has been such an easy fit and development. It's certainly been a lot of work, but we really love getting together. We practice frequently, really frequently. Our bassist holds it up just a little bit because he snowbirds there in Arizona, but it's all good. He's a gem, and he's a very talented individual and well worth the workaround on it. But he comes into town, we practice, and for a couple months. But we love getting together. I think that made a huge difference in that dynamic. But also, I think even with things like booking and what music we're selecting and all of that, it's been so natural and easy there. There's been plenty of stuff that somebody's like, what about this? And we're like, pass. It's been easy to still find plenty of things that we all agree would be great. So it's getting into that kind of group dynamic, I think, and having I really do have a lot more input. I mean, I think because it was us ladies that started the band, I felt like there was really this equality of input there, and that comes through in the music I'm seeing. So that kind of got another pretty recent, like by recent, I mean like maybe 60 days or so project. And really we're just at this moment, we're getting a lot, we're proposing some pretty challenging and just in-depth music. So I think it's going to take us a couple more months of practice before we want to start booking a lot more. But we do have a once a month jam at Gig Harbor that we're hosting with this other group. So that's been a really good outlet to still keep that going. I mean, we get calls sometimes for Phil and we're like, oh, we're not ready. Sorry. We'll let you know. But we're proposing some pretty deep 90s like grunge tracks.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, Joanne?
A lot of
Joanna?
deep, like sort of deeper 90s grunge tracks. The Eclectric Span does a definite like variety. We do we do that plus a decent variety. Depending on the venue, we'll either, front load it with that or that, it depends on your listening audience, of course. And we're a full band, whereas this other group is a trio. But these gentlemen are so talented. They not only vocally, they both sing, but they also play really unique, like the resonator guitar and the synth bass and all these really neat sounds and stuff. And so we're really putting together arrangements of this stuff which takes a lot, like at practice. I'm like, okay, I have to step up my game. But knowing what that dynamic felt like then and experiencing that over the last, whatever it's been, kind of around 8 months or 6 months or whatever with this other group, that gave me that indication when that energy showed up. I'm like, I would love to collaborate with those guys. And I asked for the job. I went and saw them live. I'm like, these guys are rock. I want it. Would you guys like a drummer? And they're like, yeah, okay. I'm like, they'd at least heard me play, I think. But that's been a ton of fun. Also, same thing. Like we've been, getting together and it's going really well. Like the energy's good. So that's a big, I mean, the stage part is great, but that collaborative energy, I think I'm learning if that's not there, that might just be the indicator that it, just finding the fit. But I also have a country project. It's going to be, I'm starting a website that's going to showcase a variety of things. I have a local friend who's going to be able to do some like studio videos. I'll probably do some Steely Dan and some other things that are little, that's like another group I sit in with too. So from time to time, more of a fill in there. But I'd like to showcase some of that. I have a country gig, just a straight country gig that I'm doing here with another local friend. Was able to get some people together for that. That probably won't be a big thing I'm booking, but I like to have that in my back pocket to be able to book some of the festivals or something. So I put that together. And then of course I'll also be able to get some video with, I'm sure, my bands and stuff, but that will go onto my website because I'm hoping that I can.
How long do you think it's going to be for your website? I'm curious. I'd love to see it.
You know what? I think to gather all of the video that I want and get it constructed and posted, probably be the end of the summer. My final video that I have an actual gig lined up in the area so that I can get like live footage of the country stuff. That's the last thing that's booked. The videos in the studio are happening in April. And then the other stuff will be easy to fill in because I see those guys every week. So.
So, and this country stuff that you're working on, what period of country are we talking about?
Probably, I would call it probably 90s. A lot of Brooks and Dunn, a lot of Garth, a lot of
I love that stuff.
Alan Jackson, just Vince Gill. I love me a good train beat.
Yes. Well, yeah, I didn't really like country until Shania Twain came on the scene, and then from there it just mushroomed. I listened to all of it, but
I love Mary Chapin Carpenter.
Yes, too bad what she did to herself, but I enjoyed that, but I had to learn all the older stuff as well. And so
yes, that's been good. Actually, it's funny you say that. I have recently started connecting with some of the local drummers who really understand kind of more of that, like a little backwards from their beats in detail. Those are some of those, that's kind of some of that, I think, experience and information. I mean, I've looked a little on YouTube, but when you get that deep into education, I think you're looking at cats who have been doing it, and that's your best learning opportunity. So I've been connecting with some of these local guys who are they're fantastic players, and they play up at, the Red Hen in Seattle, and some of these really authentic
Yeah.
areas, and venues. And so I've been really interested in watching those guys lately. So you know who you are if you're watching. I'm stalking your jobs. They know
So
I'm there.
I got to stop you for a minute here.
Uh-huh.
A minute. We've lost all our listeners off of Mature Musicians. I believe they said it stopped in about 8 minutes.
Oh boy.
So people are watching on YouTube, and somebody just said, JJ, the stream stopped almost 8 minutes. So I'm watching on YouTube, and my question to the person who made that comment, and I'm thinking it might be Sylvia, if you could tell me where you went on YouTube to find this video, please. Let me know. I'm going to have to put something out there so people
I just
watching
got a
it
text
later.
that my friend Steph just said that she's like, it ended 10 minutes ago on Facebook.
Yeah. So I don't know why that happened. I've been unhappy with Xfinity, so they might be doing something, or the storm. But for whatever reason, we lost our connection to Facebook. So you could let me know. I think it's just Joanne Lingerie Live, but I don't know. So I get a notification, but it doesn't really tell me where to find it. I can go to YouTube, but I'm already there and I have a channel, so I don't see what they're putting in to find it. So while we were talking about this new band and your new country pursuits, which I can't wait to hear and see, and your website, which is coming up, let's talk just a little bit about what you were feeling. It's Tommy Cook, and I'm watching you on your channel. Okay, so you're what you went to my channel, Joanne Lingerie, Tommy, and that's how you found us. Thank you. I've asked Tommy to teach me some of the basics of drumming so I could play my cajon.
I went down this weekend to Portland
to
watch Mr. Hair Farmer here. I know he's laughing. I can hear him laughing now. Bring your hair, Tommy. To watch him and the great Scotty Harrison play with Arby Stone, and they blew it out of the water. I'm like, goals here. I enjoyed his interview thoroughly.
Oh, sounds like fun. Thanks, Tommy.
It was.
So I'm going to have to put a notification. I don't know why this happened, Joanne. I apologize. Hair Farmer.
I told you.
What is that all about?
I'm gonna pray Tommy Nelson there. Sorry. Anyway.
Okay. So this was something that you did in Oregon or went to?
Yeah, that was over the weekend. That was just now. That was the Winter Blues Festival in the Portland area. And yeah, some fantastic bands down there. But oh my goodness, those guys really had quite the show stealer, I thought. So I was very happy I'd made the trip. It was well worth it. Really? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Stopping those stops.
Sounds like you're having a ball doing this. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, we kind of skipped over COVID, but what I wondered about is what you were feeling during that period of time. I mean, I give you time to do the things that you might not have if you've been busier as far as gigs and so forth. So, excuse me, I'm still with a cough. Anyway, what were you thinking during that period of time? Were you concerned? I mean, now you have changed into a different business and.
Oh no! During COVID?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I think I wasn't about music. I wasn't concerned at all because I didn't have. I mean, what's there to be concerned about? I didn't have a band. I didn't have. I mean, I had like very, very limited stage experience. Like that's my level of experience coming in to COVID. But it was absolutely an excellent opportunity to just do educate. I mean, practice. Go in the garage and suck for a while and just, you know, get better. I love what Dave Grohl said about it. It's like, go in the garage and you're gonna suck, and you're gonna suck for some longer, and then and you're gonna play with other friends and they suck, but you guys will get better. And then it'll, you know, and then you keep going. Like, yeah, you're right. Come on, you got to be willing to kind of suck at anything to get better at it.
Exactly.
Period. Yeah. I used to have young students ask me, are you afraid of falling off? And I'm like, well, first of all, the distinction is at my level, I don't fall off anymore.
What do you
eject
mean?
button. If I
Let's fall off.
you know,
What do you mean fall off? No.
Fall off the horse. Oh, there we go. Sorry. I don't fall off anymore. Usually I get bucked off, you know, but there is a distinction there, because one is lack of skill. The other is like, well, the horse just had other plans. But I think I forget what's going with it. Sorry, I just did a weird thing. But definitely I think that applies in some ways, that decision between, am I going to start focusing on, you know, that side of it, or am I going to focus on this other? It's that change of mentality, I think, was my point. So yeah.
When somebody says fall off, I think about falling off when you're jumping your horse over a barricade.
Yeah, no. My students are like, aren't you afraid? I'm like, well,
I mean, that's fear.
But that's not my mentality going into it, was my point to them. Like, that's not the mentality going in anyway. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not afraid of it, but yeah. Sometimes
so what is the best and worst time that you've had since you started?
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay.
Let's start with the worst, and then we can move into the best.
Right.
We'll wipe it out.
Oh, okay. This is an interesting. I would say, gosh. Okay, I'll have to think about like the worst kind of overall experience, because I've definitely had a few. There was one that really got my blood pressure up. That we were out. That was right. It's like maybe a year or two ago. We were out. I was playing with my last band, and we were at like a park in a pagoda, like outdoor whatever thing. It was just one of those outdoor park concert things. Okay, we're on Inner Ears, and we're starting our set. We are starting the first song of our second set, and it's like I have to be listening to the guitar for what we were playing, and my Inner Ears just went out. I'm like, and sitting here doing this, I'm like, nobody knows that it's gone out, because we're like, oh, we're ready to go. Okay, we're good. And we start the song, they went out. So I think learning how to adjust, because the sound just goes everywhere when you're outside.
Yes.
That got my, you know, I feel like it's those moments that I'm remembering some of them now when I think about like the worst time. Those moments definitely are kind of rattling when you're new, or like, for the longest time, I was so worried about dropping a stick. Like, so worried about. I laughed.
You don't throw them in the air.
I just grab it. You know, I practiced it, but even in my lessons now, like, practice playing with one hand. Like, just practice it. Practice, like, I don't know, pick it up. You know, like, I just started practicing stuff that I was nervous about. So of course that made it, you know, easier. But I don't think I even was aware of that stuff until I got a little farther down the road and experienced it, and was like, oh, well, you know, FYI.
How did that go? I mean, after you had that moment, how did that song go? Did you get through it all right? And
yeah, you know what? This is another great point. One of those things I always, as an instructor, like, I don't care if you biff the first jump. Make it better as you go. Improve it as you go. That's okay. That was just one of things. So yes, it worked out okay. And I think that's why I'm not coming up with any one particular show that was just like awful, because you can turn anything around. You can absolutely. It's not just music. I think
that reminds me of something that happened to me with Doug McGrew. I don't want to embarrass him, but he's playing along, and we're at a gig in a retirement center, right? And he got the beat upside down. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how to explain an upside down beat. All of a sudden, I heard it in my ears, and I'm like, "What? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What?" So, as soon as he had an opportunity, and I don't know if the beat changed on music or what, because I'm singing. I'm trying not to pay attention to it. I'm following the lead by this point. And he turned it around. He got it back right again. I don't know how he did it. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but you could really feel it. It was like a bumpy road, you know.
That gets you back on. Change your diagonal, right?
Oh my God.
Change his diagonal, Joy. He changed his diagonal. That's funny.
So, and I listen for that beat because I've got problems with my timing on certain songs because I can't count when I sing. And so, I'm tapping my foot and my body is listening to it, but I just can't physically count anymore. And so I've got to go back to that. And see, I've cheated because I've listened to the drummer and the bass for my rhythm, for my beat, right? Instead of doing, knowing what it is on my own. I guess I was following instead
you
of
should be able to listen for that, I think. But it happens. Like you get a little sideways on something, but if you fix it, there's power in learning how to fix things on the fly like that.
Right. Absolutely.
I think I have seen so many, like, I mean, these are arena shows or, really large venues. Like, these are pro players. They drop a stick and they're just like searching through their bag, continuing to like,
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have a friend. He's like, "Oh, I'm sick here, flipping through his life." I'm like, "What you doing, Case? Like, what? Like, he's unbelievable, and he's singing." And I'm like,
You don't toss him and twirl him yet?
"Yeah, well, that's what." My right hand's better than my left hand, and I know a couple other like you hit it and like catch it up. Like I do a couple, but I'm always practicing. My bandmates are like, "Joanna."
Well,
I practice on my own time.
2 weeks ago, Doug Berger gave me a set of his drumsticks, right? And he said, you got to learn how to do. And then he twirled it, and then he threw it up in the air and caught it, right? And I'm like, yeah, right.
Oh God. Some of these guys, I mean, like, I currently take lessons. I would love to give. I've had some fantastic instruction. I really there are so many amazing cats in this area, really. But I think there is a distinction between having, that there's that skill, but then there's that ability to be a teacher with it. And there are definitely in my opinion, some real standout teachers in the area.
Tommy Cook.
I mean, Tommy teaches at Seattle Drum. Yeah. I mean, Steve Smith in the area. I already mentioned Jay Douglas, Chris Corson. That's who I go to frequently. Fantastic teachers, educators. So yeah, that I'm pretty picky about that. Having taught, like, coached and done a sport at that level, I think that discernment that's critical. That learning piece, but instructors who really understand how to communicate, that's huge. So yeah, any players out there, I would say, my gosh, even if you can't get in every single week, because I realistically can't, but being able to have that homework and have that lined up for me like that, for my buck, that's where it's at. But I would not be here without some significant instruction and support from some exceptional players.
Yeah, I hear you. We get some more comments. There's somebody asking Tommy where he found this on YouTube. And to the person who asked that question, he went, if you type in the search engine when you get on YouTube, Joanne Lingerie, or just Joy Lingerie, Lajeret, it should take you to a click on that. Just click on my name and it'll take you to my channel. When you get to the channel, you'll see my picture in a little round circle, which is the channel itself. You want to click on that channel and it should come up in there. Hopefully Tommy will answer too. And then and viewing from Tampa. Tampa, yeah. And you're not old enough to be on that show.
I said I know about it. He wasn't there earlier when I did the math. I'm like, oh.
So I did want to ask you what the best time was. I mean, we did have the worst times that you've had. I've understood those. Now think about some of the best times, and
Right.
especially when you had that aha moment, and you said, uh,
Well, I
"Is
would.
Sylvia's asking?" Hold on a minute. She says, "Tommy Cook, how do you find it there?" So Sylvia, if you go to YouTube and you put in the search engine my name, Joanne Lageret, Lajeret, or just Joy Lageret, click on that. And then when you see a little round circle with my cowboy hat picture in it, click on that and it should, if you search around, oh, she found it. Okay, now, best time.
Yay!
Welcome
Thank you
back.
all for your commitment to like continuing.
Yes. Okay, but we were
Okay,
talking.
so best, I think we're looking for highlight reel here. Okay. Well, okay. Last year I had the really good fortune of performing at Scansey Park in Gig Harbor.
Ah,
That's kind of a big one that they do. It's just kind of those exclusive, like, who's going to get in this year? And we got in, and that was, I think, 3,200 people. Got checked out. I was like, wow, I'm coming down there. Like, there are already a lot of people here. Like, yeah, we're expecting 3,200. Why would you tell me that, right? Oh, God. Anyway, like, and it was intense, but you know what? It was so dang much fun. It was just a blast. Like, just a ton of like kids, like people up there dancing and stuff. That was so much fun. And I'm trying to think of like another really like sort of notable gig, because I will say, like, the country dance venues, all that energy and the people up, like, that is a lot of fun. Those are a lot of fun. I'm gonna think a little bit more even too, if there's like one that was particularly like,
aha, this is,
that was
it
cool.
says, aha, I know this is what I should be doing.
I know I recently had, actually, this was super cool for me. I've always been a huge Steely Dan fan, but it can be pretty challenging to find other players that want to tackle that music and, can play that. Well, about 60 days ago, I found a group out of Gig Harbor, some friends who pretty much killing it on it. And I had the opportunity, like, their drummer was gone in Hawaii. I'm like, I don't, they're like, you want to come? I'm like, yeah, I want to come, like, yesterday, come play with you guys, And so that was really cool to get to sit in with him and play some of that music live. I mean, I've never even tried, like, and I'm like, I guess I'm playing in front of people now. I think that would have stressed me out before. Music at that level, like, totally unrehearsed. I've played with recordings, like, however many times, but it went really well. And I gotta say, I think that was a huge boost for me. It was a tiny place. It's just a little place over in Gig Harbor, Hop Farm, but that meant a lot to me. That was really cool to hear myself play that and go, I did all right. I got the gig for next time, so I did all right. But that, I think that's another example of some local musicians having, just work with me, so, like, at jams or other of those kind of settings, and then saying, we would love to have you come. There's a spot here. We choose you. That was huge for me. For that
Yeah.
music, it was unrehearsed. So yeah, that was a cool game. So
Okay. So right now is kind of the time that I start going into what you have coming up, and start building on some of the things you said. I mean, obviously, you've now had 8 years into this. You belong to a band, and it sounds to me it's a very creative, innovative band, and you're learning a lot from it and getting better all the time. You are building a website of your own. Hopefully, it will be done by this summer. Correct?
that's correct.
Yeah. And what other than I put in the website for for the band. Let's mention that name again. Sylvia just got on board. Can you tell me again? It wasn't electric, and it
So
wasn't
it's
electric.
close. You're close. Yeah, correct. It's like the word eclectic. So it's the eclectrics.
Electric. It's kind of the two
With
together.
an
Yeah.
X at the end, eclectrics. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, Steph and the Eclectric. So that is my primary group, and then I have another group that's coming behind. Like I said, I don't think we're holding off on some gigging because we're proposing some pretty in-depth arrangements on some pretty deep 90s grunge, and that's required some studying. Artists like Smashing Pumpkins, right now we're at that's another thing too. Right now we're starting with covers, but they have some original music. I think that will be a long-term thing with those guys, this other project. But we do host a jam once a month, and so we do have an outlet for some of our music, and wouldn't mind filling in and here or there. But that's going to be a long-term project. But definitely the Eclectrics, we're booked at a bunch of stuff through the summer, applied to some festivals. I think we have a good shot at a couple. So yeah, that will be a ton of fun to be able to trot some of that out. We've done our own arrangements with a lot of things that I'm really proud of the music we've created. So I'm super looking forward to that.
Do you have any dates set for anything that they could preview?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, we have a full website, videos, and actually we're excited to post a few new ones. We're you know how that is. Like, you go to one, you get the raw footage. Okay, let's do this for the next one. We're ramping up with that. But we do have a website that has all of our dates posted. StephanieEclectrics.com. I want to say, yeah, we have a show in April, I know for sure, at Purdy's in Sumner. And then from there, gosh, May on out, we have a pretty wide variety going right now.
Can you do something for me? Since you don't have your website up, it's kind of hard for people to probably find you. Find not the one that you have the website for and the band you're working with at this point, but the ones that we're talking about, like the country thing, and the one that you just.
The country one is not really a band I've put together. It is a one-time gig that I'm doing to get video for my website, but it's because I'm seeking that for the future. Let me put it that way. That's part of the website.
Okay.
I met an artist recently, even this week, who has music. That's who I went to watch down and play. He was a standout artist, and I'm like, well, we're clearly hiring these gentlemen to play with them. This is an act I would. That's the level of playing. Like, that's what I'm hoping to do.
Okay.
But I think my goal too is to hopefully have a band I can put, a couple times a year or something up at Little Red Hen, maybe book a festival here or there. I really have I'm surprised by it. I don't think I ever really paid much attention to country. It's what was on the radio when I was cleaning my tack at the barn, and then the trainer left and we put on whatever we put on. And I hadn't paid much attention to it, but learning to play it, and now that I've had that chance with a live band, like, okay, this is a kick in the pants, and I think I would still keep my toe in that world. So I've been putting some effort into that, and it was worth it to me. Also, it gave me a chance to then reach out and make a new contact. I have a couple other friends that I already had as a core group that we've worked together a bit, that are great candidates for that project. But then I was able to meet and hire a pedal steel player, and so now I'll have that person under, so some of it was a chance to network too, I think.
Okay. So what I was asking is for you to post on Matured Musicians when you have gigs that are over and above what you already have on the website.
Okay.
Okay, and that way they can follow that.
Excellent. Yes.
We'll have you back too once you get that website up and a little time has gone by. We'll have you back. So hopefully this don't happen again. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it is what it is. Whenever you're working with electronics, my husband works with sound, and we were recently at a gig, and I don't know if you know Jerry Batista or Jeff Batista, but they have the Davino's band, a well-established band. Everybody loves it, that kind of thing. And Jeff was on the mic at a jam, and my husband was running the sound, and it just totally screwed up. I mean, he crossed the chords, and when he did, a brand new chord popped and went out. And of course, we had to reset it, and my husband had to put it together and get him running again. But and the man who is actually the host of the jam said, does he really know what he's doing? He's new at jams and hosting jams, so he didn't realize it's just par for the course. I think you probably experienced some of that. Electronics are not 100%, guys.
Oh, yeah. I whenever possible, pawn that off on. I'm like, I don't sing. I don't do it. I back. I don't know. Go out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think this kind of we get real close. We've got 6 minutes, and I'm sure there are people like me who are trying to start the cajon. And one of the biggest challenge I have is to stay on that dang beat and make sure that I'm getting that beat in there. And I only have like the tom, or whatever you call that smaller one with the hi-hat. And on the cajon at this point, so you reach a little further to get the bass sounds, and up on the top towards the corner to get the cymbal sound. And it's still challenging for me to keep that beat going and make sure that it's right, that it's not speeding up or slowing.
Right, yeah, that meter.
Yeah, and so do you have any advice for, obviously not cajon players, but any people who are thinking about starting the drums out there who might just happen to listen to this program for whatever reason? I mean, it is being broadcast worldwide, so it's not just local.
I frequently, almost every time I'm out, I mean, maybe not every time, but frequently, I am approached by total strangers, often women, who are like, "That's so cool, drum, that you play the drums." And I've always wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, guys, I started 36. I mean, there's no, how do I get started? I'm like, I don't know, go buy a drum set, go buy a pair of sticks. Just start, like, I don't think that it needs, that's the cool thing about drums, I think, actually. I agree that guitar, almost any other instrument I can think of, probably requires at least some type of instruction to, get a start in. I would say drums, though, are entirely unique in that way. Maybe buy a hand drum. What kind of beats do you like? What kind of music do you like? You like rock? Okay, great. So,
or a cajon.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, go for it. If it floats your boat, I mean, I think any sound source you enjoy, you know what I mean, is the good way to start. And you don't need to spend a fortune on a kit. I mean, you can get, like, beginner starter packs for not a lot, and just sit down and play. And if you don't love it, sell it.
Exactly.
But if you buy it used, you can always resell. But something tells me you might love it, in which case, then you'll go from there and you'll find an instructor. I don't think finding instruction, like, you'll find an instructor. I think right now what I'm seeing is you want the permission slip to start, is what I'm seeing, is a soul standing in front of me asking for the permission slip to start something that they think looks really cool. And I'm like, well, here's your permission slip. Start it.
Oh, and Tommy Cook is on here, does give guitar lessons. So I'm not sure I know what the name of the studio is that he goes through. Do you happen to know it, Joanne?
I know that he teaches drums out at Seattle Drum, which is Steve Smith's school. And they have 2 locations. There's one in, I fully endorse that school. They are, all the instructors there are excellent. Yeah, there's one in Lake City Way as a location, and there's another in Georgetown, which is just south of Seattle. So, but yes, excellent place for education, 110%. There's also Pacific Drum has excellent. Wade Reeves is out of there. There's a lot of great instructors out of there. Down in the south end, we have Chris Porzing, we've got Jay Douglas. We've got some serious talent in this area if you're looking to learn.
Yes.
So,
absolutely, I agree. I absolutely agree. So, do you have any closing thoughts, thinking back over the time that you first started this endeavor and had someone listen behind you to the drums the first time you?
I think one tidbit that I would love to reach out to people on that, it's been powerful for me. I think this is not just with my music. This has been in life. There is actually a documentary about it that I discovered, I want to say, in the last maybe 6 months or so. I was aware of it before, but it did a good job. It's called Heart Math. And
Heart Math.
And it teaches you extremely basic breathing and how to connect with just anybody or any situation. I have been using this consistently on stage with any musicians I sit down to play with, or a practice or anything, just the beginning for 30 seconds or whatever, it has made a world of difference.
It's what?
A world of difference.
Ah,
Not only in the type of music I've been able to create with a lot of people, a lot of wide variety of music,
yeah.
but just in anything else I apply to, but I feel like I'm gonna use this form. I loved that. That made I couldn't recommend it more. Heart Math.
Okay.
Check it out. It's I know it's on the Gaia Network if anybody's on Prime. Gaia carries it. I think you can find it through Prime anyway too. But it's worth the look. It may even just be free on YouTube. I don't know, but it was powerful. So that I think has been a little key to my success there.
All right. Sounds like good advice. Can you believe that it's now 1 o'clock and we've been on for an hour?
Now everybody can get on with their lives. Let me tell you.
So for anybody who knows anybody who didn't get to listen, be sure to tell them that I will post it. I'll post the YouTube channel version of it on my Matured Musicians and on my Facebook. I want to thank you so much for being on the show, Joanna. She's played for me, so I know how good she is. And so in closing, we will have you back when your website's up and talk to you again. I'm sorry this happened, but electronics are not 100%, as we all know.
You did a great job working for it. I have to say, clap for you. And thank you for starting this, Joy. I've been watching your journey too with starting this group, and I was pretty honored to be on. I'm like, wow, she chose. There's some amazing artists on here. Like,
yes,
I appreciate this project very much. Thank you so much for giving us all a format.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. See you in the future very shortly, I hope. And are you still every now and then going to the jams with Billy Shue?
I do.
Okay,
I was up at Stockton. That's where I met RV recently. Yes, I do go to the Wednesdays up there for sure. Yeah, I love it.
okay. Well, hopefully I'll see you there then.
Love you, Billy. Amazing. Right. Well, thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, I'm sorry for the problems that we were having, but I do encourage anybody who knows anybody to tell them to go to the YouTube channel and how to get there. Apparently, Sylvia found it. Next week, I have Marcia Kester back. She was, I got sick and I couldn't do her interview, but we will have her next Monday. In the meantime, I'll see you all down the line. Thank you so much for joining. And this can be watched, and I will post it on YouTube. Goodbye, folks. Sorry you couldn't do it live. See you soon.